Okay, in this video, we're gonna do what's called repousse. I don't know if that's really, yeah, I guess it is. Repousse means raised out or raise out. Okay, what we're gonna do, we're probably not gonna do all of these, but these are repousse tools. They're made by a company called Tucker Tool, or at least when I bought them, they're all stamped Tucker. I think Tucker's still in business and they make really nice tools. I think they're based out of Arizona. So if you get a desire to want to start doing this kind of stuff, I highly recommend that you try to find Tucker Tools and see if they're still in business, because I bought these tools probably around 1980, between 80 and 82, and I've used the heck out of them. They've held up real well. The quality of the steel in them's really good. The quality of the impressions in them is real good. So if you decide you want to try this stuff out, I would recommend Tucker Tools. Okay, this is the male and female of this coffin shape, I guess would be a good way to put it. When you get these tools, depending on how nice you want your edges to be and stuff, I literally cleaned up every one of these edges after I got the tool and gave myself a real consistent line out here. The male goes into that perfect. You know, you'll see how you use these here shortly. And then even this little teardrop tool, I don't think doesn't look like I really did much work on it, but I used it a lot, so it maybe just got a little discolor. But you can see on this little oval shape, for sure I grounded here and for sure I grounded there. And that's just to give you some refinement and consistency. You know, all that stuff makes a big difference in your finished product. Again, this is probably one of my favorites, which I will be making. I use this a lot in embellishments. I think we already said we were going to be showing you how to make embellishments, but if not, that's what I'm doing. This one I used a lot because I like the shape. I like how you can use it like around bigger cabs and stuff like that, just to add more refinement to the pieces you're making. So we're going to move over to my stamp place, or my stamping plate. I'll go ahead and stamp a few of these onto a piece of silver, and then we'll move over to my brand new ready to rip vise that I've been wanting to have forever. Anyway, we'll move over to my new, it's not new, it's probably 70 years old, but I finally got a stout vise set up to where this should go real smooth and quick. So we'll switch over to the stamping plate now. Okay, I'm going to start out just doing two different smaller shapes. One's this teardrop and the other one's this half moon. These two I've used a lot. To start out, you just grab your piece of metal. This particular piece hasn't even been pickled yet. Lay your stamp or your female part and then just give it a good old whack. Okay, by doing that, it's going to show an impression on the back. Okay, I'll do another one. You have to have a little bit of space in between them because it's going to stretch when I do the next operation. Okay, and then just smack it again. I don't know why that bubbled up like that, but I guess it's all right. This might be too thin a silver. I haven't done this kind of stuff for many years, so it's bubbling up on its own. Okay, and then I'll do a couple of these half mooners. That one didn't hit real square, so lock it back in there. Just hit it again. Do another one. This is very thin silver, so you can see that you can do it with real thick silver too, but I prefer thicker silver, but I want. Okay, now you've got marks on the back. You know, that one kind of boogered out a little bit, but I can just straighten it out a bit. Okay, now we're going to move over to the vise. Okay, now what I'm going to do in my brand new vise, this, again, it's not brand new, I'm just thrilled that I finally have a heavy vise. This has been in my family for at least 70 years. Is the teardrop, I'm going to lock into that stamped out area with my finger. Okay, that's locked in there now. I can feel it. Grab the nail piece, and then what you want to do is get that nail piece to where it seems like it's pretty much centered in the back impression, and then hold it straight up and down and just hit it like that. You see how there's already a real nice raise on that? Okay, and then do the same thing again on the other end. Let me turn it that way so the camera can, oh, I can't. Okay. Lock the other one in. There we go. Okay, and then again, I think I have that backward. No, I don't. Again, just get where you can see the marks on the back, and then just again, you don't have to hit it real hard. Oops, you gotta hit it. Where's the cutting part of this? Okay, make sure it's there, and then just hit it. Okay, again, you got a little raised area. Okay, now we'll do the half round for the moon shape. You can go ahead. Okay, I had to get me some eyes. I wasn't really seeing all that well. Okay, I'm going to do the half moon now. Same technique. Put your half moon, find where it locks in, which is right here. And then center this thing as near visually, as near as you can see in that half moon. Just hit it once. Raised half moon. It's not raised very much yet. Okay, then I'm going to do the next one. Raised half moon. Okay, now we're going to go, okay, rather than go back over to my stamping plate, once you have established your raised area, then you could go back the other side and you hit it again. That doesn't matter. Or no, it does. Gotta take this one out of the vise. Okay, then the half moon. And when you hit it again, you start establishing a real good line around it all, which you can see. And then probably on this, because it's such thin silver, we'll just do one more of each from the male into the female. That one should have been, well, we'll see. So I'm going to go back over here, lock that back in the vise, and then now it goes in easy. You just push it, because it's got established on both sides that it's got both the line and the raised area. Lock it in, push down, just hit it a couple of times. Okay, now let's put the other one in. Teardrop. Okay, again, it's going to lock in real easy. Basically, it has no choice but to lock in perfect now. And you don't have to smack the heck out, especially thin. And then put the other one in. Helps if you have that thing pointing the right way. Okay, then again, just go back over. Typically when you're doing this stuff, I might make 20 of each of these, because what you want to do is have a bunch in some container or something when you're, like if you were doing a real fancy bow tie, or, you know, embellishments to a bracelet, then you already have them made. You just pick through the box, the ones you like the most, those are the ones you put on the piece you want. Okay, those are pretty darn close. I think I'll go ahead and anneal it one more time, because what's going to end up happening with these is you're going to cut, whether you use jeweler saw, snips, or whatever, you're going to cut real close to that raised piece, and then you're going to file it, so you just have that little raised piece, which I'll do here. So I'm going to go ahead and anneal these again, and then one more time, and then be done with it. They look great, you know, but that's what you're after. And this is real thin. I think we decided this was 24 gauge. You know, personally, I would prefer 20 gauge, but this works great. You know, it's thin silver, but it gives you some body to what you're working on without actually adding a whole lot more silver. So we'll be back. Okay, I'm just going to see if this works. I think it will, so I'm going to go ahead and cut one of these out, like so, and come up a little bit, kind of close to that. Sorry, kind of close to it. Kind of close to it. I think this will work. Because what I've done is laid this back on my heavy spot. I hit it really good so it gave me a real deep impression. And I don't know if this is going to work. I think it will. Just start flexing that. I didn't cut up close enough for that one, but it still came off. See? Flex it again. I probably could have hit it a little bit more. Deeper, I should have said, not a little bit more. See how easy that one came off? Okay, I have to split that one. Right. About there. And then just do that again. Do that again. It's not really grabbing good. Typically I saw these out, but I'm experimenting here. That's the first time I've ever done that. So let me see if that was an absolute waste of time. I don't think it was. Okay, set that back in there and then just smack it a good one. Okay, now you have your basic shape you're after. I mean, that's a really nice shape there. You can see. Okay, now, I don't know. You can see there's still excess silver around that. And then I'll just go over there and file it. And there's your little teardrop. Just a little bit of cleanup filing. That might be the best way to do it. But if you're going to do what I just did, in fact, I'll do it again after we're going to go eat lunch here in a minute. I'll do that same thing again, but I'll pound that teardrop nail harder into my stout block over there. And more than likely that'll break off real easy, but this way you got little pieces of scrap you can make ingots out of and stuff. No sawdust or anything. Anywho, we're gonna go eat lunch and then we'll continue on. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hit this flat once more because that last one didn't break off that easy. You can see a real clear impression of the back side. So I'm going to hit it over here on my anvil, which we don't need to film because I'm just going to hit it once. And then we'll see about doing that same clipping action. Okay, cut it out. I'll give a view of this here shortly. Okay, again, I'm gonna make more cuts this time. And as I come down on that, you can feel when the cutter hits the teardrop. In fact, you could probably be better off using the tip. Just cut real close, tip it. Tip it. See, that one just fell off, so I was almost through. And I don't typically do stuff like this, but if you don't experiment, you don't learn new tricks. See, most of those just fill up on their own. You know, I could probably just do it with my fingers. Although the pliers, if you hold it close to where you're trying to have it come off. That one wasn't real close. That one came underneath. Okay, again, it looks like I might have nicked it a little bit right there. Which if I was making a lot of them, I would have taken my time and put my opti visors on so I know I'm being more precise. And then I'm just going to hit it again. And that gives me my edge. See if I can put it on my finger. You know, and there is a nick in that one, which is, I'm not that concerned. I'm just trying to show you the techniques. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do the half moon ones, but we don't need to. Well, no, I can show you. I'll show you another trick, because this is how I used to cut them. So we'll go ahead and pause for a second, and I need to get me a couple of arcs. Okay, another way to cut these out, you know, I'm 99% sure this is how I used to always do it, is make yourself your own arced chisels. This is just an old, looks like an old wood rasp. And it obviously was ground out in here. You know, nowadays I'd use a diamond burr to get the arc I'm after. And then on the other side, you just put your, this looks like it's got about a 45 degree, maybe not quite a 45 degree angle. This is more of a arc stamp, but it will work as a chisel. That's the outside. And this one, obvious to me, was made as a arched chisel. Same idea, this is just made out of just some old piece of steel. So if you want to use one of these, you get pretty close to where you want to cut it. This will require a little bit more filing, but it's just saves time with a saw, because you're going to have to file no matter what. Okay, see that already fell off, or almost. And then you just, again, grab it with your pliers and just flex it back and forth. And there's that one cut out with chisels. You know, and hopefully you obviously would know how to saw that out. You know, and then that's, I'll go ahead and clean one of each of them up after I get the others cut out and show you basically what your finished embellishment of that style is. I've got a few others I want to make, you know, and whether I leave it all in one video or make it two videos. There's other ways, other types of embellishments that you can make that aren't repousse. You know, and again, it's just stuff you have on hand. That ought to do it. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit bigger one. This is the coffin shaped one. I kind of had a oops when we first started. This is a little bit thicker silver, which I much prefer. This still isn't quite the thickness that I would, if I was making a bunch of these, I'd use something a little bit thicker than this. This is 24 thousandths. I'm not really, don't remember what gauge that is, but Greg's looking right now, so we'll know in a second. Anywho, I'll get the, I did just anneal this, so I'm going to get my impression. Okay, let me hit it once more. You gotta bear with me, it's been, I'd say, over 30 years since I did anything like this. It's not locking back in real good. There we go, cool. Okay, I'm gonna hit it again. It did the same thing. Okay, I got a double strike. I thought it sounded kind of weird. I want to show it to you. I got a double strike twice, which takes the fun out of it. Obviously, because my eyes are getting old and tired, and I wasn't paying attention very good, I can try it once more. I'm going to go ahead and leave this in the video. I got my first strike, which was pretty good, but I wanted it to be better. And then when I went to relocate my tool, I didn't get it locked back in. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more over here. And at worst, this is a total scrap piece of silver, which it already was. So. Okay, let's try again. Okay, now. There we go. Okay, this time it should work. That worked a lot better, but I still double struck it. You can see it in the video. You know, and if you don't do stuff like this all the time, when you do it all the time, it's a piece of cake. But most of this stuff, I quit doing silver work like this a lot of years ago. Not because it wasn't profitable, but I just wanted to do other stuff. This should be alright, because see, now I have an impression on the back, and I can lay this tool in, or put this tool in the vise and raise that out. So, but I am going to have to anneal this a little bit because I smacked on it 3 times. So I'm going to anneal this and then we'll do the raising. That's really frustrating that it's coming out that shitty.
I can totally relate to that.
You know, this outer edge where it double struck, it doesn't really matter because it, okay, you can see, I just flattened this out a little bit, I think we already have that. You can see that coffin shape perfect. So you just put this in the stamp again. And just like the other one, you get it locked in. Make sure you got your pointy thing to the right direction. Come on. Okay, there we go. Get a hold of this so I don't move it. And then you just this is a little bit weird for me to hold it. Okay, then you just get this, I'll move my hand here in a second. Get it centered again where you think it's centered on that coffin shape, the male part. Okay, then you just smack it one. Hold it as perfectly straight up and down as you can and just do that. You know, and it's, I will do it a few more times, but it's just mostly you have to make the decision. Is that good enough? You should know how this female part gives, the impression the female part gives it. I already know because I've used this one for a lot of years. Right on this end right here, it hasn't raised out right yet. So I'm going to go ahead and again anneal it, which I probably don't have to, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I notice when I hit on this in this vise that my stamp went down toward the end, the bottom of the vise. So I thought of this before I started. I need to put something behind that so it can't move. So I just remachined all the jaws and stuff in this vise, and there's no teeth in there. Anyway, we'll be right back. Okay, I'm gonna, I raised it out once, so I'm gonna flatten that back out. Not much, but a little bit. And then put my tool back in. This time I put something behind it so it won't drop down the vise too much. Okay, now let's lock it back in. I could even do this with my eyes off. Okay, the back narrowest part of this is, to me, it's critical. It's got to be raised out like. It's still not quite raised out. You know, it's just one of those things, you know, if you don't really care, it doesn't matter, but this back little tiny, you know, for lack of a better word, it's half round down here. Well, that's the one spot right now that's not raised out as much as it can be. All the rest of it's raised out. So rather than anneal it again, I'm going to stick it back in there and tilt the stamp toward that and see if I can't get it to fill in all the way. It's really close. I'm just very picky on what I do. So here goes Mr. Picky. Okay, so lock it back in here. Get the stamp in. And now what I'll do is I'll tilt it toward the back side of that raised area, just a little bit. That sounded pretty good. Now, it's pretty much the best you're going to get out of that tool. You know, and again, it's mostly what this video about is just to show you the techniques. We'll make some stuff because I decided I'm going to do tons of metalsmithing for a while. We'll make some stuff and I'll give you ideas on, after you know these techniques, how you can use these tools. on a standard piece. I'll give you an idea here in a second. In fact, I'll walk over and get it while Greg's still filming. Excuse me, I'll be right back. Oh, here it is. Okay, I showed this in my deep step video. You on it? Okay, once you understand those techniques, you know, and depending on the various tools and stuff you have, this particular bracelet shank, you could go ahead and make this bracelet shank. This is a antique Navajo button stamp. It's a two-piece mold, and you can make, I have a button I can show you too. In fact, hold on, it's right behind Greg, he can grab it. It's laying over there by that knife, I think. Huh.
I just saw him, yeah.
I just need one. Unfortunately, we know how to cut. Okay, this is the button from the two-piece mold. You can see on the back side, there's a male and a female. And that's the button. You know, somebody made that stamp in male and female. Somebody handmade that many years ago. And you could make buttons all day long like this. You know, if you wanted 400 buttons, you just beat on 400 pieces of silver. Okay, so I couldn't use the male on this really heavy silver. Look how thick that silver is. I think it's a little over 100,000, so over 3 millimeter thick this is. So I just used a ball from a dapping block. I just used it, started out with a smaller ball, worked it in, and just kept annealing it, hitting it, annealing it, hitting it, and it finally gave me that button. In fact, this is nicer than the button because these lines came up further. So that's the kind of stuff, once you start learning these techniques, then you can experiment with stuff. So that's it for right now. Okay, I'm gonna saw this one out, just so again you get an idea. I'm just gonna cut some of that metal out of the way, just so it's not in my way. Okay, I just bought these snips, or whatever you want to call them. These are some of the nicest ones I've ever owned. They're made super. I'm not getting any money from this company. They're made in the USA, so they're far superior to anything you're ever going to get out of China. I can't remember how I became aware of these. I think the salesman went into a smith's place and told him, would you try these out. I can't remember what they're specifically made for. It's a company called Heritage. And this is the Heritage 741, it looks like, or 744. They're excellent for quick snipping and stuff. I bought them because I wanted to try getting real nice clean square bezels when I'm cutting the ends of bezel length, and they didn't really work out that well. And I also bought these at another recommendation, and these are real good too, but again, they weren't what I was after. But I'm just recommending these tools if you're just starting to set up. And these are a WIS 605. You know, and I've been at it for 44 years, something like that, close to it. you know, I've been using mostly marginal cutting tools and stuff, and I figured I'd treat myself in my old age. So those are well worth owning. Okay, I'm gonna saw this out. I'm using a real fine blade, and I'll get going on it. Maybe. There we go. Okay, let me grab some. This is just a wax. You know, I don't rub it on the teeth, I rub it on the back side of the blade. Okay, here we go. Oh, it got real thin. You notice I'm not taking real long strokes. Mostly it's because it's real thin. Oh, just broke the blade, must be time to pause. Okay, Greg just pointed out something to me which I didn't even consider. He said to show him how I put my blade in. I just got a cramp in my finger. I just lay the blade in, make sure it's all the way up here, and then I tighten that end nice and tight, and then I use my body weight and push on that until it flexes. Watch it flex, and then tighten it up, and then when you let go, this thing's in backwards.
Do we want to start over?
Just keep it going. Needless to say, these are real fine teeth, so. And if we don't get some yucks in our videos, what's the point? Oh! Fortunately, I can edit a lot of this. I can leave the funny parts in. Okay, now that I took 20 minutes to get a blade back in here, just joking, but that's what happens when you start getting a little bit of age and your eyesight's not that good and you're trying to do something in a hurry. That right there is the problem. Okay, let's see. Okay, now let's hope I don't break the blade again. Okay, that's probably the best way to do these. And when I get ready to start making my embellishment pieces for this future work we're going to be videoing, I'll make, I'm not sure about that many of this particular style, but the little half moons I might make 30 at once. The teardrops, again, maybe 30 at once. There'll be a lot of things that I make, like I said in the beginning of the video, so you have them there, and when you get an idea, you get your stamp work done. If you do your stamp work, boy, you would get your stamp work done. Like say you want to center a large, beautiful turquoise cap. Get your bezel done. Solder your bezel to the back plate. If you want to have real nice twist wire, put your twist wire on, and then you can start taking your embellishment pieces and looking at them, and they come into a decision. And again, when we start doing these smithing videos, you'll get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. I'm going to go ahead and file the edge of this one. so you get to see what a properly done one looks like. We don't really need to do video the filing. We can or we can't. I guess we can video it, but it may not end up in the final product. If you don't have a little vise or anvil like this, I think you can still buy these from some of the supply houses. This one here I probably had for 40 years, roughly 40 years. After I got my milling machine and my new studio, I machined the top real flat. It's made out of lesser quality. It's probably cast iron, so you still can dent it and stuff, but when they're brand new, they're not real flat. You could take a file and do what's called draw filing on it and get it relatively smooth, but this size is real handy, let me tell you. Okay, grab me a little piece. I'm just going to file over the brass, or yeah, my saw brass. Fine, there's the fine. Okay, this being real thin where I just cut it out, I'm going to use a number 2 cut file. And these files, if you want to buy good ones, are scary expensive. But if you're going to do this kind of work for any length of time, especially if you're deciding you maybe want to make it your life's work, you're better off to bite the bullet and buy real good stuff. Otherwise, you're going to be buying them 8 or 10 or 15 or 20 times and never get good files to start with. And when it all shakes out, you're going to be better off buying the expensive ones to start with. Anyway, from doing that female stamp as deep as I did, basically this little bit of silver that's left here is so thin that it comes off pretty quick. I could have sawed closer, but you can also go down. I'm sure glad I know how to edit.
Just do this at 10 times speed.
There you go. There. Okay. Let me grab this off the floor. Maybe. Come on. Can you see it?
I'm zooming.
You know, and if I was in all honesty, if I was gonna use this, and if I do end up using it, I'd file it a little bit cleaner around the edge and bring the arcs to where there's no lines. There's a couple of lines showing up on it. And then after you get that done, so you get a nice clean solder joint, I have diamond discs. They're perfectly flat. Lay that down. Lay your piece on that diamond disc. I usually wet my finger a little bit and just barely rub so I know it's cutting everywhere. Yeah, it's not quite ready. A little bit more. Come on now. Probably would have been better off using a finer disc. That was a 260. Yeah, it didn't quite get down. Anyway, I'm not going to do any more, but you would rub it on that disc until you can see the shiny flat on that. You rub it on that disc till you have that flat all the way around. And then it's a guarantee when that thing solders down, it's going to be dead flat on your silver. There's not going to be any open areas or anything. Again, I didn't finish this all the way down because I don't know if I'm ever going to use this thing. Might, but you never know. Anywho, that's the basis of that kind of embellishment work. I wonder why I started getting all these cramps.
Haven't done that kind of work in a while. I haven't.